Yo, Astroforger here. Wuthering Waves 3.1 is almost here. And everyone is asking the same thing. Who's actually worth pulling? And who's a trap for your account? Today I'm breaking down 3.1 pull value phase by phase. Who gains value, who falls off, and what it depends on. Alright, so look. This patch is not pulled the strongest. It's pull what makes sense for your account. Because 3.1 is basically built around two directions. Mode A is the fusion burst and negative status route. Mode B is the tune route. Tune, rupture, shifting, the new mechanic stuff. So I'm going to talk about Aemeath like this. Mode A, Mode B. Then we'll get into Chisa, Lupa, and phase 2 with Luuk and Galbrena. Okay, Aemeath. Visually, she looks insane. But value-wise, here's why people are so locked in on her. Aemeath looks like she can apply the thing that certain teammates want. And in Wuthering Waves, synergy is usually this simple. Some units apply a state, other units get rewarded when that state exists. That's it. That's why certain teams feel unfair. Now, the tune route. If Aemeath can reliably work with tune rupture shifting, she instantly becomes more valuable with units that care about that state. And the biggest one people bring up is Mornye, because Mornye is basically a payoff unit. If the enemy is in the right condition, your team's damage jumps up hard. So when you hear Aemeath synergy with Mornye, what that really means is Aemeath helps trigger the condition that makes Mornye teams scale like crazy. Now, what about Lynae? Lynae is part of that make the tune engine happen more consistently side. So if you already own Mornye, and especially if you own Lynae, Aemeath is one of those units that feels like she was literally designed to slot into your account. Real talk. If you have the tune core pieces, Aemeath is high value. Now, the fusion burst route. The fusion burst route with Chisa can exist, but it looks like it's missing a key teammate to fully complete the loop. So if you already own Chisa, sure, you can plan around it. But from a pure value perspective, that route is more like you're investing now and the full payoff might be later. And there's also the mono fusion angle. If you have Lupa, Aemeath automatically becomes more valuable because Lupa makes fusion teams feel smooth. You can run something like Lupa plus Aemeath plus Mornye, or Lupa plus Aemeath plus Brant, or even another Fusion DPS you already like. And you just end up with a very strong fusion foundation. So Aemeath's value is simple. If you have Mornye and Lynae, high value. If you have Lupa and you care about fusion, still high value. If your only plan is the Chisa route, that's delayed value. Alright, Chisa. I'm gonna keep it calm but real. Chisa has no pull value for most accounts right now. And the reason is not that she does 0 damage. The reason is she doesn't improve your account unless you're committing to a very specific plan. She was supposed to be the upgrade in the negative status lane, but without her signature weapon, she isn't even a clean upgrade. Sometimes she's a downgrade. Compared to the free option, like Rover, in that erosion and negative status setup. So if you're value focused and deciding where your pulls go, this is exactly the type of banner that steals pulls from things that actually grow your account. Real talk, if you don't already own Chisa, skip. If you own her already, okay. But pulling her now for value, nah. Now, Lupa. Lupa is the easiest value unit to explain because her value is stable. She's the Fusion amplifier. If you play Fusion, she makes your team better. If you plan to play Fusion later, she becomes even better over time because every new strong Fusion DPS that releases makes Lupa's buffs more valuable. So if you care about Fusion at all, Lupa is value. If you don't care about Fusion, easy skip. Now phase 2 is where things get weird. Luuk is cool. He probably isn't weak. His animations look great. But here's the real issue. Spectro is in a bad place right now. Not because you can't clear with it. You can. But because it doesn't feel like it has that clean premium structure. It can feel clunky, and it's missing that effortless teammate setup that other elements have. So if you already have a Spectro lane covered, like you already have a Spectro DPS you're happy with, Luuk becomes a preference pull. Pull Luuk if you need a Spectro DPS, or you like him. If you're chasing value, this isn't the easiest pull to sell. And right now, he doesn't really have that obvious premium teammate lineup the way other elements do. Now, Galbrena. She's strong. I'm not denying that. But I'm going to be real. Pulling Galbrena for mono fusion is kind of weird if you're also looking at Aemeath. Because you can build mono fusion with Aemeath too. Galbrena mainly makes sense if you skip Aemeath and still want a Fusion DPS, or if you need her as a partner for a unit you already own, or if you just like her a lot and you're pulling for preference, not value. Weapon talk, quick. Aemeath's weapon looks amazing, but we don't know enough yet. Same with Luuk's weapon. Lupa's weapon gives buffs, but it isn't mandatory, because Lupa already gives you a lot just by existing. Chisa's weapon, Kumokiri, isn't that great, and with newer strong standard weapon options, it's even harder to justify. And Galbrena's signature is best in slot, but strong standard options make it less required, unless you're chasing max performance. So here's my simple verdict. Want the best value in 3.1? Aemeath, especially if you have the tune pieces. Want long-term fusion account strength? Lupa is the safest value pull. Chisa has basically no value unless you're committing to a future plan. You don't even know when it's coming, so she's just not it right now. Luuk is cool, but Spectro is awkward, and he doesn't have that clean premium team setup yet. So you pull him if you need Spectro, or you like him. Galbrena is strong, but pulling her for mono fusion is weird, unless you have a specific reason, like pairing her with a unit you already own. Drop your roster in the comments. Lynae, Mornye, Lupa, your Fusion DPS options, and I'll tell you your best 3.1 pull path. Like, sub, and as always, forge to win.